Hello and welcome to another episode of Hanging Out with the Carters. I am Denise Carter and my co-host is Liz Carter. Unfortunately, he's not here, but that's okay. I'm so excited because we get an opportunity to sit down with three of the cast members from August Wilson's stage play, Two Trains Running. The Ventura Rubicon Theater, in collaboration with New York City's The Acting Company, put together an amazing national tour. I'm so glad they started in Ventura County. I had the pleasure of sitting down with three of the cast members. This play was directed by Leela Lily, Lily Ann Brown. And I sit down with Brian D. Coates, Deanna Saple, and Michael A. Shepard. I went over to the Rubicon Theater and went into the Rose Room. And I was able to sit down and have a conversation, a candid conversation about what I experienced and about what and how they made the audience feel. It was amazing. All right, without further ado, let's take a gander at that interview. Remember, hanging out with the Carters, we drop a brand new episode every week, and I'm so glad you're hanging out with me. And welcome to another episode of Hanging Out with the Carters. It's Denise Carter, and my co-host, Wills Carter, is not here today because he is at home sleeping because he worked last night. And 1:30 was just a little too early for him, but we ain't going to hate him for it, but we going to talk about him because that's what I do. Anyway, after 24 years of hanging out with me, let me tell you something. He better get ready because I am upset that he ain't here, but I ain't gonna talk about it. I am so happy today that we are honored to actually interview the cast of Two Trains Running. They are all the way from New York. I'm so excited. I'm gonna try to bring down my excitement because I've been excited all week with the opportunity to sit down and talk to a few members of the cast all the way in Ventura, California. I mean, do you see that every day? I can tell you right now, I saw this amazing August Wilson play last Saturday, and it was truly amazing. If you have not received your tickets, here's an opportunity. Go to Rubicon Theaters online and purchase your ticket because you don't want to miss out. They leaving. They're on a 22 state national tour. And if you miss this, I ain't got nothing else to say about it. Y'all just in trouble, but I'm going to talk about it all day. And so it is my extreme pleasure to bring to you a few cast members of Two Trains Running, and they're coming for us, right, at the Rubicon Theater. And I cannot. So I'm going, without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to a few members. So first, we have Mr. Brian. Brian, you want to go ahead and state your name so I don't botch it?
Oh, no. I'm Brian D. Coates.
Remember, the D stands for dynamic.
Come on now.
And we also have,
I am Deanna Saple.
and she is simply beautiful, y'all.
Thank you.
Hey, y'all. My name is Michael A. Shepard.
And the shepherd stands for get out my way because I am the shepherd running things. Look at me, I'm just doing stuff. Listen, we are so happy to sit down with the crew, the cast, the brains behind the operation and making this play what it is today. And so I have a question. My question is for you. A little bit about yourself. So we'll go from this way to this way. Just tell me where you're from and a little bit about yourself before we get into it.
All right. I'm originally from Columbia, Missouri. I've lived in New York for more than 30 years now. By way of North Carolina, I graduated from the School of the Arts in North Carolina in 93. So I'm telling my age a little bit, but pretty much New York. I did a little stint here in L.A. That's where I first got my first television co-star, guest star in a show called Jag on NBC. So I have a little bit, but, you know,
Love
LA
Jack.
wasn't always nice to me in the 90s. So, I got out of here and went on back to New York, and the rest
But
is
they did
history.
tape Jag in Port Hueneme.
Yeah, they
Yes.
did. Yeah, it was down at, well, I was on the Paramount lot
Okay.
a lot of time for the week that I was there, but California is its own little thing, and I'll never forget when I'm talking too much already, right? I'll never forget when I first came to California, being from Missouri by way of North Carolina. I wasn't used to the palm trees, so I drove in with a company that I did a play with in Pennsylvania. They wanted to try out the West Coast of New York. I mean, the West Coast coming from the East. And when I drove into the place, I said, what kind of fantasy island place is this? With the palm trees. It's really beautiful. You're really spoiled. And my blessings to all the people who have been affected by the fires, but I'll pass it on.
I said, my name's Deanna Saplee. I am Philadelphia born and raised. Go Eagles.
Yes.
I have been living in New York for about 13 years now, and I've been acting professionally for about the same amount of time. I've done theater since I was in second grade, but I consider myself a 13-year professional actress. Went to the University of Pennsylvania for undergrad, where I studied theater arts and English. Then I went to New York to get my master's of fine arts from the acting studio drama school. That escaped me. But yeah, so the rest is kind of history. I've been doing regional theater, been able to do some theater in New York. I'm very fortunate to be able to do my first tour with these amazing gentlemen and with the acting company. So yeah, getting ready.
That is fantastic.
Thank you.
Like I said, my name is Michael A. Shepard. I live in Los Angeles. I've been there for the last 25 years. From New York, by way of New York, by way of Chicago, by way of Alton, Illinois, the most haunted small town in America. I've been doing this for longer than most people have been alive. I think 372 years. I think the biggest thing I want to say about this production and why I feel that y'all need, and when I say y'all, you know who I mean, y'all need to come see it, is that it's black. It's blackety black. It is the type of communion you don't necessarily get in this part of the world a lot. So I urge you all to come and see this show and witness the joy that we get to have on stage, but also the joy that we get to have with the audience, because we know these people. These are our uncles, these are our nephews, our cousins, our pastors, our sisters, our mothers. These are those people. And I urge you all to come and see the community that we've created on stage.
It is an amazing community that you have put together, and I think my brother, my sister, and myself, we found ourselves saying, "Where my ham?" Like all weekend. That's all we kept saying. It was funny. So we it put us back. So my father was born in Macomb, Mississippi, Summit County. He came from Mississippi and came to California because of some of the things that he saw happen to some of his friends that I can't speak about. And he came here to California to have a better life for his kids. And I am so grateful, because when I go back to those areas where he grew up in, I was like, this is where y'all live? This is how you guys had to interact with folks? And it was very interesting. And so I'm just grateful, to see the play brought the memories. And my brother and I, we cried about what we thought, what we felt. That's what it was. We felt like we knew what my dad went through just watching the play. And it was incredible. So I have to say that I'm not going to cry, but it was incredible.
I do want to say this because you bring up crying. I also want to make sure there's a lot of laughter as well.
Yes.
Because we can't get together without laughing.
I think the crying moment for me is to realize that while he left Mississippi and he came for a better life, and when you watch this amazing play, you see that the struggle was real for them. Mm-hmm. And they came to California and had 8 children, and he raised his children working in a restaurant. So, and the opportunities we've been given, I'm just grateful. And so to see what I think he dealt with in the 60s, because he came here in the 60s, And that's when he started having children. So I was just grateful. But I do want to get back to you all. What I want to know from each one of you is how did it feel when you found out you were casted in this play?
I felt really excited to do the character Holloway, which is what I play now. I played Memphis in Pittsburgh. I've done 7 of 10 of August Wilson's plays. So when I found out that I was doing Holloway, I was extremely excited. I've done like some of his plays. I've done more than 3 or 4 times the same character.
Wow.
So it was really interesting for me to be able to explore a character in this phenomenal play that I had not played before.
So he felt excited, y'all.
Yes.
Okay.
I would say just humbled and very grateful. I think I had my own preconceived notions of what it was to do a Wilson play before I was cast in this, and the type of playwright I thought he was, being just very male-centered, which is an important narrative, but I've often felt black females left out of the narrative. But I will say, with preparing to audition and then ultimately getting the role and diving deeper into Rissa and the experience of black women through his lens and his gaze, I really feel honored to be able to be the female presence in this story. Even though I don't say as much as the other characters, I do feel as though I say a lot, and I do feel as though I emote a lot and experience a lot, and the audience, at least from feedback thus far, has been able to experience that with me. And so I take that seriously. I'm very humbled, and that's a responsibility that I do not take lightly, to be able to be this feminine energy and presence in this world, because we often know those women, and we are those women, or we're related to those women. Our ancestors are and were those women. So I was really humbled, because he's serious. It's serious business, and these stories are serious. And while there is levity to them, the stakes are high, because it's our stories, it's our history, and it's our futures that we're trying to pave and create. So yeah, I am very privileged, very privileged.
I want you to know, I was so giddy watching you every step of the way. I was like, look at her. So I just want you to know, it shows on stage that you took the character and you brought her to light. It was it was infectious. You can feel all your emotion, every last one of it, every last one of the emotions. I felt that's when I talk about, feeling it. It was you feel this play, every character.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I was going to say, I love the fact that we have this beautiful relationship on stage where I just get to yell at her. I just get to yell, and just her energy is just so like, this fool. And I always feel it. It's like, and all of it comes from love. This whole play is centered around love. I almost didn't audition for this show. I almost didn't audition. I got a call from my agent saying, hey, they want to see you for this. And I knew our director, Lillian Brown, I knew that she works with a lot of the same people, and which is great. She honors those relationships. And I called a friend of mine, Robert Cornelius, who's in the show.
Yes.
And he and I have been close friends for 40 years, and we had never worked together. And Lillian Brown works with Robert all the time. So when I got the call, I was like, let me call you back. And I called Robert and says, so are you doing Two Trains Running? He goes, I am. And I was like, I'm going to call my agent and tell him, because if you're doing the role, I'm not going to come in and audition.
Right.
And he goes, wait. Who are you called in for? I said, Memphis. He goes, I'm called in for West. And I hung up the phone and said, I'll call you back. And I called my agent, and I got the audition. And so that's how this sort of happened coming into this, which was, because I was like, my buddy Robert Cornelius is supremely talented. I'm not even going to try to audition. And when he said that we were up for different roles, I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot.
But you guys put together the characters. You guys, I felt like I was in y'all's living room. Like I felt like I was there. And it's the way you guys put that together. And I think everyone in the theater felt the same way.
Well, it's like you're like watching, you're a fly on the wall.
Yes.
watching these people and hearing these experiences. And that's one of the things I've heard from a lot of non-melanated people who have seen the show, who are just like, I felt like I shouldn't have been there. I felt like, I was privy to something that I would never have, been invited into, in real life. But in this theater, I'm here and able to watch and listen to this. And I think that's great, because, they ought to know what our experiences are.
You said it. You said it right there. It was the experience. I had one woman say to me, I really wish I would have known that they were going to say the N-word as many times as they did. I said, that's what we dealt with in the 60s, and it's still happening today. And so do you think there should have been narrative on how many times it was going to be said before that?
Absolutely not.
Thank you. I felt
Absolutely
the same way.
not. Because here's the thing. We know everything there's to know about the non-melanated world, and there's so little they know about our world. So to experience with our world and know the love of like that, us saying the N-word, it's like it can mean a plethora of things. It can mean so many things. Like, it's like doubt, like.
Well, I think it made people feel uncomfortable, right?
And
so
good.
because they weren't used to it, and they were like, and we laughing, right? Like our people are laughing at everything because we get it, and it made them feel uncomfortable. I think when they saw that we laughed about it, then they kind of settled down in their seat. That's what I feel.
That's why I love the diversity of this country. I did the tour of Jitney, and I've shared this with some of my castmates. And when we did Jitney down in San Diego, California, people would literally walk out halfway through the show. Now, we had done it in Detroit, Seattle, D.C. It premiered on Broadway. The last of August Wilson's plays that premiered on Broadway, and we never got that. So California is special. And then I'm not saying that in any derogatory way. But we also had talkbacks with some of the people from California who came to the show. And one, she was born and raised in L.A., but she's a sister. She's black. But she was up in arms about how could you say these words in front of all of these white people? You know what I mean?
Yes.
She really took offense to it. So I just say that. I just wanted to chime in with that I think it's beautiful in at the same time that there's so many different perspectives about race within the United States of America. So it should be celebrated for what it's worth.
In the climate that we're in, I think it's important. And so when I think about this play going state to state, right, and we have a new administration, I'm curious as to what that will look like in other states that may not be used to this. I mean, in California, we're a little,
And we go to Mississippi.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Go to Iowa.
We will be in Oxford, Mississippi.
Mississippi, Iowa, Albuquerque.
How
We're
far
gonna
is
be.
that from Jackson?
I honestly don't know.
I'm curious. I
I
got
I
family
know
in
that
Jackson.
I have family in Coffeyville, which is 45 minutes away, so they're all coming up to see the show.
That's beautiful. I'm going to
Yeah.
encourage my cousin. He is the head coach of Jackson State University. Ooh, ooh.
Hey.
They just won the SWAC, y'all.
Yep.
If you don't know,
all about
TC Taylor, I'm giving you a shout out, my brother. I'm giving you a shout out. And I think it's important because all of the people that I know, my grandmother grew up in Macomb, Mississippi. I have one aunt that lives in Milwaukee, and no, that's not where she lives. She lives somewhere else because her daughter told me something else. But anyway, she's in her 90s, and I would love for her to see the play. So I'm gonna encourage her kids to get her there. That's my plan.
Perfect. Absolutely wonderful to do that.
I have one of the questions I wanted to ask each one of you. What impacted you as a child to where you see yourself as an actor or an actress in this part of your life? Like, is there anything that brought you, that you dreamed about as a child that impacted you to get you where you are now? I know it was a question that I was going to ask.
Interestingly enough, and people who know me, like they've heard me give this story, but randomly, I couldn't even, maybe 10, 11, 12, Denzel Washington was on television, and he said that your passion, your career should be your passion, and your passion should be the one thing you would do for the rest of your life, regardless of pay. And for some reason, I thought of acting. That was the first thing that came to my mind. It was performing, it was acting, I really did a lot of forensics as a kid too. So like speech giving and delivery. So that was instantly what came up for me. And I've been using that story to convince my mom when I said I was going to study theater to, let my friends know when they're all going into corporate America and being lawyers. Like that was something that always just remained with me, is that I would be doing acting even if I wasn't doing it professionally. So yeah, because it's just really important to me. I've always felt like theater had the greatest potential to change people, to inspire people more so than politics or whatever else is going on. All things that are still important, but I really feel as though art is a great equalizer in a way. And I think I always just wanted to be involved in whatever that potential change could be. I love to entertain, but I also love to challenge people and make them think and challenge myself. And I've just always felt as though live theater especially was the best medium for that. I'll do TV film, I like that money, but I've realized there's something so special about theater and just performing and being in a space with someone in communion. And we talked about people being uncomfortable.
Right.
I think that's important. I think the best theater makes you uncomfortable and makes you kind of question and think and hopefully want to change and grow and lean in versus be even more divisive in these divisive times. So yeah, my answer.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you.
Mine isn't quite as eloquent as that. Yeah, I'm the least smart of the three of us. So no, in second grade, I was the horse that pulled Cinderella's carriage because I was the biggest, and so at the end, I picked up the wheelbarrow with two kids and I trotted around the gymnatorium and put it down, and that's where it ended. And we stood up, everybody applauded, and I realized that all the applause was for me. Because what I had just done, it was all for me. And that's when I was like, oh, wait, hold on. This is what is this feel? Not to quote Wicked, but what is this feeling? And then though, I was in 5th grade, and the high school, Alton High School, they did Pajama Game. And they would always go to the grade schools and do a couple songs from the shows. And there was one black person in the cast. He was really tall. His name was Ronnie Hightower. I know it because I still remember it. And I was like, he's tall and he's black and he's singing and dancing. What is going on? That is all I want to do with my life. But I had been groomed by my family, literally from birth, to be the doctor in town. And that was my mission. They all knew I was going to be Dr. Horton was the black doctor, and by the time I got through medical school and got everything done, I would then assume the mantle of being the black doctor in Alton, Illinois. And that's what I pursued all through school and college. And then finally, the head of the Department of Theater saw me do a little thing in like this little cabaret area. She goes, why aren't you in the theater department? I go, I don't know. Why am I not in the theater department? And she goes, you're in the theater department. And I switched my major without telling my parents.
Wow.
And then, but it all worked out. They were furious, of course. And it all worked out though, because my first year out of college in Chicago, when I moved to Chicago, I got a 3-episode arc on ER.
Congratulations.
As a doctor. So they got to have, and this is what I realized. You can only tell your friends so many times that your son's a doctor. But every time I'd be on television, they're like, you see my baby on the TV? That's my baby on the TV right there. Uh-huh. Oh, no, he on another show, too. You can watch that, too. They were able to keep that momentum going and talk about it. I've been very fortunate to have done lots of TV and film. So so that was a very big deal. They forgave me once I started showing up on television.
No, and so how long have you been in theater?
4 years.
4? Did you say 4 years? I know you lying. Lying, right?
I have been doing this professionally over 40 years.
Congratulations to you. It shows your character, your presence is just, I saw the other play the other day. It was The Comedy of Errors, and I was having trouble. I had to go to the bathroom, and I knew I couldn't go, and I laughed, and you made me laugh. So I'm just saying, it was amazing, amazing. Okay, Brian, you gonna tell us
Well,
what
Michael has
impacted you?
has me thinking about my family because there's apparently some hit, and I think in the back part of my memory somewhere, there's this image of me in this picture that everybody talks about when I was a little kid, and I was reading to all my cousins. My mother is one of 10, and they're all still around. Our matriarch is still around, and everything like that. So we come from a big family, but there's this picture of me with these crazy big reading glasses on, and I'm reading like as a character or something as a kid. So to hear them tell it, I've been doing this since I can remember. But it wasn't what I do remember is when I moved to North Carolina in my beginning of my high school years, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was sort of uprooted, so to speak. I didn't know anything outside of Columbia, Missouri. So to move to this state and city where there's predominantly black people, I didn't know anything about that. I was very nervous, very scared. But I was signed up for forensics and theater class because she was asking me what I wanted to do. And me and my mom was just sitting there, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know. So she said, we have this new program coming. So I joined the forensics club, and the same teacher was the acting teacher and the history teacher. She was multi-talented. Anyway, I started off in forensics, and when I started going on those competitions, I remember the very first time I went on a competition, I couldn't even finish. I started hyperventilating a little bit, and I was doing Death of a Salesman, Arthur Miller, and I had to sit down, 5 minutes. She knows what I'm talking about, being there. 5 minutes into the thing, I said, they ain't gonna kill me. I'm gonna sit down. So I sat down, and the teacher, and I'll skip ahead, but the teacher from another school who judged me wrote on my evaluation has potential. Skip ahead 3 years later when I was doing Fences, and it was very close to the time it premiered on Broadway. It was in the 80s. And I did Fences. I had gotten better consistently over the years, and I made it to nationals with Fences, and I placed 7th in the nation doing Fences in Nashville, Tennessee. And that same teacher came up to me and said, do you remember what I wrote on your evaluation?
Gave me chills.
Yeah, so.
No, that's beautiful.
And the rest is this.
So, as an aspiring actress myself, I'd like to know how you cry instantly on stage. Can somebody tell me how you do that?
For me, it's, I think not the previous show, but the two before that, I literally had to sit center stage by myself crying. And it's just whatever that emotional connection is for you. It's easier when I'm able to look at someone that I'm acting with and feel what's coming from them, and that can emote something for me. But it's just connecting. I mean, I did Ato Fugard's play, because I don't remember the name right now. And it's a 2-character play. It's a 75-minute 2-character play, and I played 5 characters. And at the end, he just sits and cries. And I remember my sister came to see, and she was like, I didn't know you could cry. You could just cry? And I was just like, yes.
Well, I'm going to give you, because I got a little directing in me too. All right?
Okay, we ready.
So for a future actress here, and it's been told, and I do believe most people who cry in life, they are trying to resist crying. Like I saw you about to cry earlier when you were talking about this play.
I was.
And I'll give you a little sense memory. If you start thinking about that, and you don't even have to try to cry, it's going to come. It's going to come. Just go on back to where you felt and how you felt. You'll be surprised at what comes out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, piggybacking on that, I was trained in the method, which gets a bad rep, but so much of that training is the aim is not to cry, it's the experience. You're going through the senses and the how you felt, what were my eyes looking at, what was I hearing at that time, what was I tasting maybe. And for me, especially with the spoiler alert, maybe not spoiler alert, especially thinking about something that the characters are experiencing in this play. I just try to think of a time of when I experienced that in my real life, and when I'm thinking about that, it's kind of just lends to itself. Like I'm experiencing that as Deanna, but I'm also experiencing that as Rissa, and they just kind of, intertwine. Yeah.
That is fantastic. So there was one of the participants that came to the show. She is amazing. You got a chance to meet her. I believe her name is Tonier Kane. And
Yes.
she actually has an amazing story, and she goes nationwide touring and doing motivational speaking about her story. But she wrote a screenplay, or she has a script, and she came to see me do stand-up comedy in February. It was the last day in February. It was leap year last year, and she said, at the end, I have a character I think you'd be good for. 6 months later, she said, I want to cast you in it for Pearl. And I was like, what? So I'm so excited. I don't have the script yet, but I'm watching and I'm paying attention. But one thing got my attention is, how do you not get distracted by the audience? Because we're laughing and doing and you got to stay in character. I'm trying to figure out as an actor, there's so many people behind the scenes, things are going on. How do you focus and you don't hear any of that?
You hear it, but
You hear
But
every single
everything.
crinkle, cough,
Yep.
phone ding.
You hear it
This
all.
past Sunday,
Oh,
where
the phone kept going off. Oh man, that was
whole
tough.
show,
Oh, it was
whole
tough.
show, phones were going off.
Yeah.
We're like,
but you just have to be locked in. So much of at least for my character, is it's listening. And sure, I can hear all that, but I'm listening to these gentlemen speak. And just like in life, like I'm having conversation with you, I can see people walking around back there. I can hear them upstairs doing whatever they're doing. But it's so much as being present and attention. And I think it's kind of a disservice to pretend it's not there. I think you can acknowledge it in a way that's authentic while still being connected to your scene partners. But it also just comes from repetition. Like, I think the more you do it, the more you get used to it. Because, the first time you hear that phone go off, like what? Like, breaks the fourth wall.
it's hard though, because somebody like, Baba, 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 ring. And you want to go and go, what? Why is your phone on? You want to patty the opponent. You want to become patty the opponent and throw the phone at somebody.
Or you hear people just talking or like responding to what's happening, which I actually really do love. I love when folks are kind of out there
Y'all
responding.
on the night you came,
Yeah.
when it was like, because we're worried about what the audience dynamic was going to be, and then y'all were in the house, and it was like, oh,
We got people.
now we understand what the rhythm of this play is. You all actually were the 8th character in this play. You informed us to let us know when we could slow that down, or when we could stop and have a look, or whatever those things were. You were the ones who informed us.
Wow, that's beautiful. I know you guys have somebody else that wants to interview you, so I'm going to wrap it up and say, my last question is, how do you go on a tour like this, multi-state, and you got to miss your family, you got to miss home. How do you handle being away from your home and going to so many different cities?
I got kids. I'm fine. Daddy got to go.
Bye.
I've always been an escape artist. I'll get out. I'll be in Ghana. I'll be somewhere. You ain't keeping me nowhere.
Oh, well. Different than these two. No, you're good. It's a good question. I am not an escape artist, and I do not have kids, but I am married, and I have my dog Tur, which is my child. And it is hard. It is hard. But like, my husband will come visit. He'll come catch the show the last week, because that's also our wedding anniversary. So it'll be a nice little moment.
Happy
But
anniversary.
Thank you.
How many years?
It will be, that'll be our 5th year wedding anniversary, but we've been married for 6 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But it is challenging, but honestly, Kent Gash, our artistic director of the acting company, said it really great. Our first or second day of rehearsal for this is that the life of an artist is a life of sacrifice. So it really comes with the territory. It can be challenging, but I mean, my family knows as well as I know, like, we're doing it because it is our higher calling. It is like kind of what we're meant to do. At least that's how I feel. So as challenging as it is to be away for so long, I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So I try to remember that. But there are nights where it's like, I want to be in my bed. I want to be with my family. But yeah, they're so supportive, and that helps.
And it's refreshing to get out of New York.
Yes.
Especially right now because the
mean,
weather ain't.
especially now.
The weather right now. How y'all liking this weather? Y'all don't like the fires, I'm sure.
Fires are scary, but the weather is beautiful.
Fires have been very scary. It's affected me because I have at least 20 plus families who have lost everything. Like, and when I say some of these people are family. And so that's been just very hard. There were nights when I was like, walked in rehearsal and I'm like, I don't know. I'm just like looking at the phone, because this fire is now 4 miles from my house. You know, and as we know, it can go really quickly. You know, luckily, you know, my house is still standing, but you know, my heart goes out to all the people who have just been levied, you know. And
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that, you know, the insurance has been somewhat challenging, or maybe not even there. So on a lighter note, I know we gonna move on because I'm so grateful that we got a chance to sit down with the cast from Two Trains Running, and I want to give you guys an opportunity to tell the folks where they can get their tickets for the last two shows, because I think they have a little bit of availability. I know it's the Rubicon Theater, but in a couple of words, each one of you tell them what they would be missing if they don't come see this amazing play.
Well, it's for us and it's by us. It is also for folks who aren't of the community, but to give you a glimpse of kind of the struggles that we've been dealing with, but also the camaraderie that we have in our community. But it's a play about justice. It's a play about reclaiming our time and what's due us. So yeah, Rubicon Theater, you can go on their website, and I believe on their Instagram there are some nice little discount codes if you know, if money is a little tight. Still hopefully come and support us. So.
Brian?
I'll just say, not to be, to be politically correct, no matter who you voted for, there is a resonance in this play that you have to see. That's all.
I'm trying to be politically. I can't even say it. That's how you know how hard it is for me. This is what I have to say. For those of you who are in this area, this is a moment. This is a moment. Don't let this moment pass you by, because this moment is super important, because you get to sit in a room of safety and watch people who look like you come together and create magic.
Wow. And there you have it. Hanging Out with the Carters is a very amazing podcast. We're in our infancy. This is our 31st episode.
Come on, 31.
I'm really excited. I'm glad we got a chance to sit down with the cast. And let me tell you something. If you have not ever seen a stage play, come to the Rubicon Theater. You will not be disappointed. It's an amazing theater in an amazing city called Ventura, and you can't miss it. But I will tell you, I am so grateful that we got a chance to sit down with them, and they have touched my heart in ways you cannot imagine. So I want to give a round of applause to Mr. Brian B. The D is for dynamite. I wanted to make sure I didn't mess up his name. I kept thinking on the D and I said B, but you know I'm going to clean that up. Okay. Brian D. Coates, y'all. Give it up for him. And then we have Miss Deanna.
Only because we have a Deanna in the show too, so it's confusing.
I'm going to get it right.
They're fine.
Supply.
Yeah.
Supply. Is that French?
It is, but I'm not.
Okay. Oui, monsieur. And then we also have Mr. Michael A. Shepard.
She got it right.
I do my best, y'all. I do my best. You hanging out with the Carters. That's what we're doing. And thank you so much to the Rubicon Theater for letting us come in and do this amazing interview. You guys have it. Please like, share, and give some comments. And please don't forget, come watch this play.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yo, Miss Allenette, I was wondering, I was looking for her to come in. That's why I went a little long. I was like, come on in. So, did you tell her she could, if she wants to do whatever? Yeah. This is my girl. This is my girl.
That was hard. My arm is
Two.
Hi there.